All right. Again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of YouTube. I received a very intelligent email asking me about Edom. Who is Edom today? Now, see, that's the only thing I'm waiting on. I'm just waiting on someone to communicate intelligently rather than getting out on street corners hollering obscenities and just saying disparaging comments and just literally trying to destroy people's souls with their words because people don't agree with them. Let's just deal with facts. I mean, I'm a preacher that just deals with facts. And of course, at the end of this, they was asking me, Pastor, is it true? Is Esau the white man? Oh boy, here we go again. And I'm going to say it again and listen to me very closely, very closely. Esau, Edom, Idumea is not all white men. As a matter of fact, I can give you just a quick rundown, but it's going to take some independent time and research and study to show exactly what's really truly going on. You remember in the days of Christ, how that John the Baptist, as well as Jesus himself, they gave very scathing remarks to the scribes and Pharisees of those days. Because, see, those scribes and Pharisees of those days, and I'm going to have to use modern day terminology so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Those scribes and Pharisees of the day, they were not Israelites. They were imposters. And they did not preach and teach the Torah as, was defined for us by the Kohen or the Levitical priesthood, the sons of Aaron. And when you read Matthew, it's obvious that Jesus, it's obvious that John knew exactly who these people were. When you read Luke, it's obvious that they knew who they were. I'm talking about like Matthew 3, Luke 1. And all you have to do is pay attention to how John and Jesus responded to the scribes and Pharisees of that day. The Pharisees and the Sadducees. And the way that they responded to them, it was not very favorable at all. That's because they knew who they were. Now, in that, I'm going to drop some key right here. I'm going to drop a key phrase, key note, all right? Zacharias, more than likely was of the Levite tribe. And Zacharias, he had a wife called Elizabeth. All right. And Elizabeth is the one who actually birthed Johanna, the immerser, or it's commonly called John the Baptist. Now, the truth is that Zacharias, the father of John, he was the one that was actually carrying the real word of Yah. And him carrying the real word of Yah, I mean, John and all them, again, you have to pay attention to the righteous man and how they respond, because what we have is the same system sitting in front of us today. These were Edomites posing as Israelites. That's who the Pharisees and the Sadducees were then, and that's just so happened to be the Edomites of today. Well, who are they, Pastor Dow? Well, the Edomites of today are the Jews, the ones who call themselves Jews. See, I don't call myself a Jew. I know who I am. I'm a Hebrew, and I fear the Yahweh, the Elohim of my fathers. All right? And if it was the same order then, it's the same order now. And to say that all white men is Esau or Edom is just nonsensical, because when you go back to Genesis, it's obvious that Esau came from the Hebrew line, White men of today come from the Japhetic line. And of course, there's been a bunch of interracial, that's what we call it today, mixing and intermingling, which the Bible doesn't speak like it. It talks about nations, don't go and be a part of these other nations and stuff. Jesus knew that the Pharisees and the Sadducees of his day, the ones who murdered him, the ones who had him killed, he knew that they were, and this is how he put it in John, the 8th chapter, you are of your father, the devil. He hasn't changed his opinion, because back then they were their father, the devil, and they had him crucified and killed and slain. Guess what? After his death, after his impalement, after his resurrection, he met John on the Isle of Patmos, and he gave scathing remarks about these people who call themselves Jews, and they are not. And they simply are not. That's like, a lot of blacks in America, they think that the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Saharan slave trade was all originated by the white man. And of course, they hold the white man responsible. Now, he does bear some responsibility because of the abuse and the atrocities, which the Bible doesn't teach you to treat slaves like that. It gives instructions to Hebrews how we ought to treat our slaves. Matter of fact, the slaves were actually treated like family. They were not abused at all. But the Arabs, that's why it doesn't make any sense to me why black people in America would embrace the religion of Islam. It just doesn't make any sense, but they do, and people have the right to do what they want. But it was the Jews, the people who are called Jews today, who was responsible for the transatlantic slave trade. It's also the Jews who Christ gave the scathing remark to when he told us on John on the Isle of Patmos, when he says, I know them that say that they are Jews, and they are not, but they are the synagogue of Satan. He hadn't changed his mind. It's just that today that people are blinded by ambition, they're blinded by fear, they're blinded by anger, that they don't want to call a spade a spade. They don't want to call it for what it really truly is. See, the bottom line is that Esau, Edom, Idumah, is basically the synagogue of Satan, is basically the modern day Jews of today, who the Christians and everybody else seem to be going and running to, bowing down at their feet, blessing and doing everything else with. That is who Esau is. And that is who Edom is. It's the modern day Jewish people from the Israeli state over there. It's not what the prophet said. We are the Israelites. We are the Hebrews, and we are the ones that fit the prophecies. We're scattered into every nation, all over the face of planet Earth. And so when you say that the white man is Esau, you have that partly right. But there's also a bunch of people of this color and darker hue that is also Esau as well. It's like, I'll give you an example. You remember the movie 300? Because the movies have a way of painting everybody white, with exception of the lower role players. Then they just happen to be somewhat close to the indigenous people of the land. But, the immortals, there was 10,000 immortals that Xerxes had, all right? And King Darius, the first royal palace over there in Susa, Iran, what is it called? The Persian Royal. When you go look at the paintings on those walls, you get to see what the real 300 look like, or the real, not 300, the real 10,000 or the immortals look like, as well as, what the 300 was. But basically, bottom line is that Esau, Edom, is the Jews. They're the ones responsible for the transatlantic slave trade. They are the ones responsible for the religion of today. And Jesus condemned them in the book of Revelations. And he said they were the synagogue of Satan. And he said that he was going to make those people, they're going to come down and bow down at our feet. And that's the truth. And that's the true straight way. It's about line upon line, precept on precept, and knowing history. Have a good day.